my free legato course right now and learn to play fast in the fastest way possible. Hey, so in this video, I'm going to try to sell you on economy picking or directional picking. I shied away from it for a very long time because it was like cheating, right? I was brought up with the Al Di Meola thought of anything else than alternate picking is kind of like cheating, kind of not doing it in the most effective way, which is of course not true. And when I started practicing, I was really struggling with alternate picking and I practiced it a lot, but I couldn't get the results I wanted. So I went to economy picking. But the cool thing was, as soon as I started practicing economy picking and getting some proficiency in that area, my alternate picking improved instantly because I had an alternative. I had more than one way of crossing from one string to another, certainly. So that worked really well for me, and I'm sure it will for you as well. So what is economy picking? Well, it's basically just going from one string with two consecutive similar down or up strokes or similar strokes. Instead of having the strict up and down movement of your hand, you simply go, instead of going down, up, down, up, down, up, when you play two or a 6-note pattern on two strings, you go down, up, down, down, up, down. So you end up playing the same picking pattern on each string. If you play a scale with 3 notes per string, you go down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, right? And the hard thing about it is that you seem to stumble. It's so easy to go from string to string suddenly because you just, right? It's just one movement that you seem to stumble at it and not get it right. And it's really hard to keep the timing because it's so easy. And then the pick sometimes seems sticky. You can't make the sweep in just the right way. It's easier when you do big sweeps, like, because it seems to be, you can control the speed of it by controlling a big movement. But when you have to do little one string picking and then a string shift that is a little sweep, then it becomes harder. But in this video, I have an exercise for you that is really going to make it much easier, and it's going to give you a run or sequence that you can use to really start using economy picking very fast, because we put some stuff in between the string shifting and makes it much easier. I also have my good old trusted metronome here, and I'm going to show you, and we're going to talk a little bit about the value of using it when you practice beyond timing. Because something very special happens when you use a metronome. So let me just show you the sequence, and then we can start talking about how to practice it. And if you have a bit of extra time on your hands right now, then this will really come in handy. And you might come out of this little period of time here with a week or two with some new skills that you can really use right away. So let's look into the sequence and let's talk about how to practice it. And I should say that all of this is tabbed out on our website. So if you click the link just below here, you can go to a page, download the tabs directly, and have them with you as you watch the little demonstration of how to play the sequence here and what to do with your pick. I'll also show you how to turn the sequence into a plethora of runs that you can use. And this is really like a little power lick that you can change and both horizontally and vertically on the neck. So you want to go and download those tabs by clicking the link right below. So let's look at it. So the sequence is a combination of very intuitive movements here, where I'm just going from a higher finger to a lower finger or back again. And that's what makes it really useful here. Also, there's quite a lot of notes in between the string shifting, so that allows your brain to really focus on them without being overwhelmed with the amount of them or the number of them. So what I do here is very simple. Let's just go through the sequence. I start in this is C minor. So if you want to follow along here, I got the, I could say I have the C cage shape here, C minor cage shape, which is 9, 10, and 11 on the two lower strings. And then 8, did I say 8? 8, 10, and 11 on the two lower strings, and then 8 and 10 on the D, and 7, 8, and 10 on the G, and 8, 9, and 11 on the B string, and then 8, 10, and 11 on the high E string. And this is a really cool place to practice because I got this combination on the high E string and I got that combination on the B string, which allows me to use both the second and the third finger in between my first and fourth. So I start by playing this on the high E string, so it's 8, 11, 10, and 8 again. So 8, 10, 8, 11, 10, 8. Simply lowest note, highest note, and then down. And then what I play on the B string is quite the opposite. So I start in the 11th fret, go down to the 8th fret, up to the 9th, and then up to the 11th again. So right, and the picking here is where we really put our focus. So I start by going down, up, right? Down, up, and then I hit the next string with an upstroke. So now I have 2 upstrokes, right? And in the beginning, you want to see if you can get that string shift in time. So if you have like a metronome clicking here, you could go. Okay, we'll try again. And most people will say, oh, if I do that, it takes me 1,000,000 times before I get that string shift right. But let's just say you did this 1,000 times without speeding up at all. Then if you suddenly, by the end of those 1,000 reps, you would have become so good, it's amazing. But by trying to push it, you won't become good because the brain can't learn when you push it. So that's the first little challenge. Also, you can practice at this speed if you can play it, just to identify, can I really make that string shift happen in time? And not too fast, not too slow. Right? Okay, so we get to this point here, and then I go up, down, up, down. Up, down, and then I hit the top string again, and I'm back to the start here. And when we start turning this into a run, you have an exercise here that encapsulates the challenges of playing a run. So you want to practice this because that's where the action happens. The run will be fairly easy once you have this down. Right? You can do the same thing with this one. So you go. Now you have 2 consecutive downstrokes, or one that covers both. And be sure to anchor your PC bone right there by your wrist here, where the low E string meets the bridge, so you have that same reference point for your brain every single time, so it's not something different every time you practice. Right? So that's the exercise basically. That's how you practice the runs as well. But let's just look at the run. Let's just see how can you cross all 6 strings with this. Because you can of course go from the high E string to the low E string like this. Oh. You can basically use this as a turnaround. So I can go and just play 3 note per string all the way down. As soon as I hit the low E string, I can do my little turnaround. Right? As soon as I hit the high E string, instead of just going, I go, and then I'm in the other direction with my pick strokes here. Right? So that's a nice one. But since we can do that, see, and then I'm just back to playing all, right? I should say that I'm playing a 3 note per string shape now for the C minor scale. So up here I got the 10, 11, and 13, 9, 11, and 13 on the B, and then 8, 10, and 12 on both the G and the D string, and then the same 8, 10, and 11 on the A and E string. Right? Okay, so let's just investigate. What can we do here? Because if I said, okay, let me turn around a little faster. So instead of going all the way down, I could turn around on the G string, right? So I could play, and then just play 3 notes on the B, right? So I just play 3 descending notes, And then I can use the G string to turn around on. Right, dee da do do, ba da da da. And then I'm back. I turn around my picking pattern. And then I can go and play 3 ascending notes on the G string now. And then turn around on the E string. Sounds like this. Just 3 normal notes on the G. Turn around on the G. Play 3 normal notes. Turn around. If you did it down here in the K shape, you would go. Right? But we can take that and say, okay, what if I then made my turnaround first, then went down 1 string, then turn around, but then turn around again, and then play 3 notes on the next string. So here, there, there. So E, B string, and G string, and then B string, turn around, play the G string. So I play 3 strings down all the time, return to the previous one, and play 3 strings down, return to the previous one, and play 3 strings down, right? So I go. But then I want to go in that direction with this. So instead of just playing 3 ascending notes, I turn around and play 3 ascending notes on the G. And then I turn around on the next string and go in the other direction. It's a little bit hard to explain. If you play it, you see the system. And when you got the system in your mind, it's easy to remember. And then I can take it in the other direction as well. Play 3 strings up. Turn around. Turn around again. 3 strings up. Turn around. And turn around again. Play 3 strings up. Sounds like this. And then in the other direction. Right? It becomes a lot of turning around, but it creates a really cool improvising tool where you can go. Right? You can quickly make small and large runs, and it's hard for the ear to actually identify what you're doing because it's like water, and it's an uneven amount of notes, an odd amount of notes. It's not 16 triplets or anything. Right? And so it breaks up this playing triplets all the way down. So it's much easier to play than just all 6 strings down if you learn this sequence first. So to recap, just the exercises here. The first exercise I showed you was and be sure to have the picking with it, so you got those sweeps. And then that's where I want you to put 95% of your focus. And then the run could be something like. And so on, right? So reverse to the taps, focus 95% of your attention on that exercise because that's going to make the run much easier, and then play around with the run. So what most people do when they practice something like this is that they just start practicing it. But that's the wrong thing to do, or it's the least effective way to do. You might have that, oh, this seems great, I can do this. And it feels great, and I can feel it already, how that's going to feel when I'm get it up to speed, and it seems easier than alternate picking perhaps. And then we just start practicing. We get all excited, we start practicing. But what you should be doing that's much more effective is create a plan. Take that excitement, that passion, and turn it into a plan, because that's much more productive than just starting to practice. Because as soon as you get bored with what you're practicing, you're going to stop and think of something else that's exciting, right? And so you're going to run from one thing to another without really getting to the bottom of anything. And getting to the bottom of things and really mastering what you practice is the key to mastery. Surprise, surprise, right? So stick with stuff. And the way to stick with it is to say, okay, how am I going to go about practicing this? Well, for instance, every time I pick up my guitar, I'm going to play that sequence for at least 15 minutes, right? Or that exercise. Or I'm going to use it as a warm-up exercise for 15 minutes, whatever it is, make a plan. And that's a plan, right? And then you might want to use the metronome to create a plan as well and to practice. And what I do with the metronome is I just decide how many times I want to practice something. And if I use this, I'll practice 10 times with with twice the focus or 10 times the focus and persistence if I use a metronome. So what I do is I simply just find a pace that fits my current skill level, where it's a little bit lower than my current skill level, actually. So I'm sure I'm practicing with accuracy and precision. And if I'm not using the metronome, I tend to rush a little bit and I have to pull back all the time. But when I using a metronome, I'm just sticking with the same tempo. And then I start counting. And this is not just to play a little game. It is to be focused on the whole thing. It becomes like a meditation. I can do that forever. It's really pleasurable, actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I count like 100 repetitions. And then I go one click up on the metronome and do another 100 repetitions. So instead of trying to push for speed all the time, which I naturally do when I'm not using a metronome, I'm simply following a plan of playing below my max tempo, so I really can focus on accuracy and precision, because that's what's going to make me fast anyway in the long run. And then I just take it up, or I decide to say, okay, this might just be a single decision of saying, okay, this is my tempo, that's where I'm going to practice, and then I'm going to practice it for 5 minutes, and then I set my alarm to do that. And you think, normally when we say, 5 minutes and nothing, but you realize how little you practice everything when you do this. Because when you're practicing for a minute or two, you're going to look at the clock and say, isn't 5 minutes gone? Oh, it's not. I'm not even halfway there. And that's because we totally underestimate, or we can't really decide or analyze our way to how long we've been practicing anything. The brain basically just asks your body whether it's tired of practicing it or bored with it. And this keeps you excited, weirdly enough. When you're practicing with no measurements, with no metronome, with no setting the alarm, then you're basically just practicing until you get a little bit bored with it. And that's pretty fast. When you do this, it becomes a different project than just playing the notes. It becomes practicing this for 5 minutes at this tempo. That's what you do, right? You can do 15 minutes or 30 minutes for that matter, and then simply just sit there. And I always do it with a mindset of, just grabbing my guitar and then starting to play the sequence. And then I say, okay, what if I was practicing this for 30 minutes at this tempo? And I always pull back. That's the magic of it. When you pull back to a tempo where you're absolutely unstressed and unchallenged, and you start just practicing there where it's easy and just doing perfect repetitions, perfect timings with the string shifting all the time. And you just do, but you do 30 minutes, right? It's like after you've done it for 30 minutes and you try to play fast, you feel the added sense of control. And you can really feel a result, an actual result from practicing, because you didn't practice at your max. I've tried this with a lot of people who was trying to, play something, they're trying to record something, and they just can't get it right because it's just at the edge of what they can do. And I always tell them, play that thing 50 times perfectly. Pull back the tempo. Play it for me 50 times perfectly, totally relaxed. And then don't play it after that. Then we hit record and they play the fast level perfectly. Because they just showed their brain 50 freaking times what they wanted. Right? Instead of trying to push for speed and the brain is stressed trying to make it happen, and it's impossible until you pull back. It works miraculously and it works now, not in, 6 months of doing it. So it's the perfect coach for your nervous system, right? So just start your metronome, have a click, find a cool tempo that's not your max, but well below it, so you can really focus on accuracy and precision and getting everything right. This is training. Instead of pushing for speed and making mistakes, you train yourself. Then you set your alarm and say, okay, I'm gonna do this for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And you focus on the timing, getting the clicks right. Ba, ba, da, synchronization. Or you might do 5-minute segments, then, grab a cup of coffee, do 5 minutes again, do something else, do 5 minutes again, right? That's such a good way of building accuracy and precision. So have fun with it. Go to the website, download the tabs, and practice all you can. There's nothing as rewarding for me as to build skills on this instrument. It just feels so amazing to be able to do something, get up the next morning and then you actually feel the difference in your fingers. Nothing quite like it. So see you in the next free video. Subscribe for more free videos. Do it. Do it now. Do it.